We need to grab a battery. We have 2 medium disposables. I know I picked up some medium plutoniums. 100% we picked up medium plutonium batteries. Did I drop them somewhere? That... Yeah, where did my medium plutonium batteries go? Are they still in the basket? No, nope. I 100%. We picked up medium plutonium batteries because I remember saying, okay, there we go. As I say, I remember thinking, oh, geez, you never really see medium plutonium batteries. So yeah, definitely want these. So we're gonna use these up. I don't know if these are rechargeable, universally compatible. Stores a huge amount of power. It cannot be recharged. Well, good, because plutonium shouldn't be rechargeable. Let's reload our welder. And let's find that drill. Oh, dropped the welder for some reason. Pick up the welder. We're going to need that hand drill we picked up. Hand. Nope, not there. I guess that is also... Actually, that might be in our unsorted pile. Hand. Nope. Better be in the vehicle, because we definitely found a hand drill. Oh, that's right. It was at the farm, so it will be here. I forgot we found those at the farm. So, with the hand drill, the wrench, which we should still have in our inventory. No, we don't. With the hand drill, the wrench, and the hacksaw, we should be basically able to do anything we need to do with the vehicle. No, sorry, hack, not hand. Hack. No hacksaw. Oh, that's also in the car. Sorry about that. We need the wrench, which is probably on the unsorted pile because I just dropped it. Grab the wrench, grab the hacksaw, and we should be good to go on basically any vehicle work that we would want to do. Hacksaw, please. Thank you kindly. Chat is dead again. Always exciting. Take a look at the phone. Nope, last thing was about Rocky murdering cows. Here's a hot take. I don't like Rocky very much. I don't think they're actually very good movies. I think the first one is enjoyable. If you've never really seen it before, you definitely should watch Rocky at least once in your life. I don't actually enjoy Stallone in basically anything he's ever done. I think that he's a really bad actor. I think that Demolition Man is like the one thing that he's been in that's actually like a really good movie. And I don't think it's good because of him. I think he actually makes Demolition Man worse. Demolition Man is good because of Wesley Snipes and Sandra Bullock, Rob Schneider, all that like supporting cast. That's kind of the police people. I think Stallone actually drags down the movie. I don't think he's a good actor. I think he's just a buff guy who got cast in some movies that people really responded to, like Rocky, and the same with Rambo. I think Rambo is actually like a really terrible franchise. I think the first one is like pretty good conceptually, but I think it gets dragged down by Stallone as well. But I think the movie itself is totally acceptable. Let's grab this tank first, I guess. Let's find the tank that's in good shape, and we'll yank that out. And I just don't like Stallone at all. Can't think of a movie that he was in where I'm like, yeah, it was a really great movie, or he was really good in that. I just can't think of a single movie where the guy wasn't terrible. He's like chewing the scenery, you know, like he just seems like a big old dumb guy is my interpretation of him. And he's just kind of like his characters are always just big dumb guys, you know? And I just don't respond to that very much. And I just don't think he's that potent of an actor. Let's plop the extra tank in here. Don't really know where to put it. This is fine. Install the tank. Thankfully, these plutonium batteries will allow us to do a lot with a single battery, which is good. I forgot coffee over tea all day. Can you use the 3 shells? Yes, one of the... I often quote the 3 shells, and people always look at me like, what the hell is he talking about? I don't think it's a very... Like, even Demolition Man. The reason Demolition Man is so good is because Wesley Snipes is playing like this over-the-top, ridiculous, crazy bad guy. And it's kind of a goofy, futuristic world. And I like those things about it. And I even like the idea of like a super cop going into the future to fight a bad guy. And it's like a really interesting conceptual thing. But I think Stallone drags the whole movie down, and I think they cast I'm blanking on his name too. Brain, I need you to work with me today. My brain says David Lynch. That's not right. Let me do a quick Google here. What is that dude's name? He played the underground like revolution fighter people. Who sang the asshole song? Dennis Leary. Yes, Dennis Leary. I also don't think he's very good in that movie. I had a friend who, like, growing up, like, we liked his stand up when we were teenagers. He was like a really aggressively, like, kind of nasty guy. And we responded to that kind of stuff when we were young. But, like, I don't think he's a very good actor. I know he's in some stuff, like, he was in that firefighter show that everybody really loved. I just don't think he's that good. I don't see it. I think basically, if you're watching this, here's the takeaway. I hate everyone. I think everyone is terrible, and no one does a very good job. Oh, we don't have glare protection. Yes, we did pick up a PBA mask. So grab the PBA mask for our welding purposes, and let's slot this in here. In fact, let's pull these items out of this basket. Dump those on the ground. That way we can pull the basket out as well. Why did it not clear the basket? Can't pick up a liquid. That's fine. Let's remove the trunk. The box. Yes, box. Sorry, not a trunk. And I don't think he's very good. I don't think he's very good in that movie. I think that when we were teenagers, we loved seeing him just because he was a funny comedian that we liked. But I think he's just like an aggressively nasty dude who has like some really negative opinions that are like, some people just strike me as really hateful people. And I don't know if he's like that in real life or if that's just his character, but either way, I don't really enjoy it very much. Like I said, I did when I was a teenager. When we were teenagers, basically we would watch stand-up comedy like 24/7. Because we were like broken kids who the only way we knew how to interact with our peers was to try and use humor. And so we would like steal bits from stand-up comedians, and then people would think we were funny because we, stole bits, whatever. So we would watch like 24/7 stand-up when I was a teenager, all the time. I watched Friday night stand-up on Comedy Central and they would play reruns all throughout the week. It was all I watched when I was a teenager, and yeah, I used to really respond to these people who were like super negative or nasty. We liked George Carlin, the people who are like mean, kind of people who have like criticism humor, people who just say really kind of mean spirited things. We were really into that, and now that I look back, I'm like, none of that. That's actually not very funny. I actually find most of that really off putting. I guess just because I've gotten older. And like you can clearly look back too and see like the immaturity of it. Like back then too, and this is another hot take because everybody likes to pretend this guy doesn't exist anymore. But when we were teenagers, Dane Cook was hugely popular, and now I look back at his bits and stuff, and I'm like, wow, you're just a big idiot, huh? Like you're not even funny. You're just sort of loud and obnoxious, and yeah. It's weird to look back and see the things that you liked when you were a kid and how you have different tastes now, I guess. I haven't watched proper stand-up in a long time. I've seen some people that have come out with comedy specials over the last few years, but like, I don't know. I just I don't care about comedy that much anymore, I guess. Which is a shame because I'm not as funny as I used to be. Because I'm not like so like I write. One of the things, like if you're listening to this and you're like I want to be a writer, because I talk about my writing a lot. One of my belief systems is that in order to do creative things, it's really important that you surround yourself with creative things. So like if you want to be a writer, you should be reading a lot. You should be watching television and movies and looking at how other people structure their stories and the beats of a story, the rhythm of a story. If you're going to go and you want to be a funny guy, you should go watch stand-up because you will learn the rhythm of it, the delivery, the timing, all that stuff is really important. So like I probably should watch some stand-up comedy. It would probably improve my wit a little bit, but like I just can't be motivated to do that. And like I said, now when I watch people who do stand-up, like I see a poster for someone's stand-up special, it's just hard to get motivated. I don't even like half of the people anymore. Like the last time I watched a stand-up special and was into it, probably honestly was Louis C.K. like 8 years ago. And like now we don't even talk about that guy because he's apparently a huge creep that does terrible things to women. It's like like I don't know. And then today I was looking at an article because I had watched The League recently. The League is a fantasy football comedy show that was on FX like 6 years ago or something like that. And one of the main actors in that had been lying about being in the Twin Towers on 9/11. And I was like, oh my God, like, you watch somebody, you think they're kind of funny, and then you find out about their personal life, and it turns out they're like a molester, or you find out that they lied about, being in, who lies about being in the Twin Towers on 9/11? What a terrible thing to do. But anyway, we shouldn't ramble about that. That's a little on the political side. It feels like I can't trust anyone anymore, It always turns out that they're a bad guy. Have you published any of your writings? So, no, I've finished 5 novels, I think, over the last like 8 years or something like that. I'm really afraid of getting published for a whole host of reasons. I'm afraid I'm not going to be good enough, and then once they shut me down, I'm going to be like dejected and never write again. I can't really afford to pay an editor. I'm not super great at the really nitty gritty grammar stuff. Like I use too many commas. I know I use too many commas, and those kind of editors cost a lot of money. And I don't know. I'm embarrassed to let people read my stuff, and it's complicated. I read books and I'm like, man, my stuff is kind of better than this. But then when I start to think about it and I think about getting published, I just defeat myself with that self-talk, and I start saying things like, no one wants to read what you wrote. You're going to just get rejected. You don't handle rejection well, blah, blah, etc. And it becomes a whole thing. I am hoping to yesterday. I'm always hesitant to mention this because then people ask about it and I never know what to say. I did start working on a novel yesterday. It's one that I've had in my head for a while that I tried to start a couple times. And I want to make a more serious effort to finish this because now that I'm establishing the YouTube thing, we're very close to monetizing on YouTube. We can monetize on Twitch already. We just haven't done it yet. Now that I'm starting to bring in and going to be setting up the business, part of that, I want that to be me getting published. So probably going to at least try to just throw something up on Amazon in the next year or two and see how it goes. And hopefully it doesn't destroy me emotionally, because I don't handle criticism very well. And I'm a pretty weak-willed individual, etc., etc. Pandora has comedy stuff. You should check it out. You get shorter bits from people instead of having to watch a whole show. Is Pandora... It's like a radio app or something. It's like Spotify or whatever, where you can just listen to random like channels and stuff. I don't actually know what Pandora is, to be honest. What's the novel's genre? Criminal historical farming. So the first book I wrote, so I write a lot of zombie fiction, was something that was really big and important to me when I was a teenager. So like the first 2 books I wrote, first book I wrote was terrible. It was about zombies, werewolves, vampires, the whole shebang all kind of merged into one story. People really didn't respond very well to that. I let some friends read it. They hated it, and it was really hurtful and discouraged me from letting people read my stuff in the future. Second novel was Zombie Apocalypse story about a girl in the apocalypse. She's like 25, and just her learning. It was basically my dealing with a really tough situation in my personal life, so my story was about her depression and anxiety as she tried to reunite with people in the apocalypse. So like the world ended several years ago, she's been living on her own, and the whole book was about her changing from like this isolationist, nervous, constantly paranoid individual and transitioning to, I can be part of a group again, I can care about people, they're not going to hurt me. And that reflected a journey I was going through in my real life. So that one people really liked. I let quite a few people read that one. They seemed to really like it. The ending was really, really bad. If I was going to try to publish that, I would have to go back. I guess I shouldn't go through every single book. The main book that I was really proud of is about basically a bunch of. It sounds really dumb when I talk about it, but I promise the book was actually pretty good. It was about basically it's the future. There's like virtual reality, very like really good virtual reality, and people would play this game that got really, really popular, most popular game in the world. People would use it to earn real life money, and that's kind of a dystopian future where people lived in these big apartment buildings. And this guy made his living by playing a video game, one of the best in the world, and it paid for his lifestyle. And then basically they all get plopped out on a new planet as part of a colony to colonize a new planet, because the game they'd been playing was actually like manufactured by the government as a training simulator to get people prepped to go to the new world. Because like they live in a world that's the future where there's like technology does everything. Nobody even uses their real bodies. Everyone's kind of frail and pathetic. No one knows historically necessary skills. And then so they created this game where people could practice like forging and sword fighting and hunting and archery. And then they plopped, that was all to train them so that they would be ready to go and colonize this new planet. So it sounds really, really goofy. I promise the book was actually pretty good. It's my favorite thing I've ever written. So the story I started yesterday, we've talked about a little bit in my YouTube videos. I've been rambling. I haven't done anything in the game. Sorry, YouTube. I know you guys get irritated when I don't do anything. The one I started yesterday, we've talked about on the channel at some point. Basically, it's about two teenagers who get involved in like so if you watch anime or things like that, there's this concept of a death game. Kind of think like Hunger Games, everybody's pitted against each other. So it's about this teenage boy and a crazy teenage girl, and basically them and like 20 other people are murdering each other for the chance to become... I don't want to reveal too much. I wish I had a good thing to say about it. It's interesting. I haven't developed it enough to really talk about. But basically, it's a story about this really timid kid who's put in a position where he's in a lot of danger, doesn't really know what to do about himself, and he doesn't want to hurt anyone. Meets a girl who's absolutely obsessed with him. She's batshit insane. She has no problem murdering a bunch of folks, and then everyone is trying to kill each other. And it's about these two trying to make it through. So... yeah, I don't want to keep talking about my writing. I could just basically talk nonstop about writing. I'm having a hard time formulating my thoughts. I feel like the explanations I gave weren't super good. But man, I enjoy telling stories a lot. Lit RPG then. I don't actually know what that means. But yeah, if you think like I assume you mean the book about them going to a new planet. It was like if... kind of like, so everyone knows Sword Art Online is a game about some kids that get trapped in a video game and kill each other or whatever. It has elements of that, kind of the virtual reality stuff, but it was more like this one kid's journey. Again, it always reflects stuff that I've been through in my personal life. So like that story is about a boy who feels really, he's like 20, I think, at the start of the story. He lives in a world where everything is done with technology. There's tons of social programs. No one really does anything meaningful. Everyone's very heavily medicated. So like he's on a lot of medications for his depression. He's miserable and he's going to kill himself. And then he gets sucked off to this other planet. Shouldn't say sucked off. He got transported to this other planet where they start civilization from scratch. And all of a sudden his life that he felt was so meaningless, so pointless. All this medication was clouding his every interaction. He couldn't interact with people. His entire life was spent playing video games to escape. All of a sudden, he's in a situation where he's a necessary part of the society. People really respond very well to him. He has friendships. He meets a girl. He starts doing things that are actually like building an entire empire from scratch. And his life goes from, I hate everything about myself and everything that I do, and transitions to, you know what, I can actually have some value in society. So that, of course, is reflective of my own journey. I struggle a lot. with recognizing any value that I have, and feeling like nothing I do matters. Everything I do is terrible. And then, you know, it was basically, well, what if there was a world where I could actually bring something to the table, where I could actually have meaningful interactions, where I could meet a nice girl, where I could blah, blah, etc. And it was about that. And yeah, I really love that story. That story is very close to my heart. It's my favorite thing I've ever written. Probably my favorite thing I've ever written. And I've gone back multiple times to try and edit it because I felt like this one actually had potential to be published. In hindsight, you know, I've gone back and tried to reread it and do some stuff. It needs a lot of work before it would be in like a publishable state. But it's like that main character is one of my favorite characters because he kind of becomes what I hope I could become, you know, where he's actually a valuable member of society instead of some just weird offshoot where, like, you know, he's not contributing and he hates his life, and I don't know, that kind of stuff. Like, anyone who writes, it always has elements of your personal journey and stuff. I dropped the PBA mask when I wasn't paying attention. So hopefully that all made sense. I kind of feel like I just rambled for like 30 minutes, and that I feel like YouTube's going to be real mad that I was just standing around rambling about my stories. I love telling stories. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to sit down and write. It's just been really hard with YouTube over the last year. I've been doing a lot of YouTube stuff, and now I'm doing Twitch stuff. And it's really hard to find time to do all the things that I want to do. There are a lot of days when I sit down and I'm like, okay, well, I can either do this, or I could do this, or I could do this, but I can't do more than one. I have to pick one thing. So like last week, you know, we talked about it. That was my animation for the follower alert. Took up like my whole weekend. And every day when I went to work on it, it was like, okay, I can either work on the alert, which is like, it improves the stream, you know, it makes things better, it makes things look better. Or I could actually go create content, or I could go edit my videos, I could go do this or that, but I can't do everything. I have to pick one thing. And a lot of times when I feel like writing, it just comes down to like, well, I can either write and not have a video go up tomorrow on YouTube, or I could go produce content. So I'm actually doing something that actively benefits what I'm trying to do right now. Writing, you can argue, will have a purpose and could contribute to like financial gains in the future and whatever. But it's so much easier to be like, you know, I've known myself for years. I might just never try to get published because I'm embarrassed and nervous and, you know, afraid of rejection, you know. So it's really hard to be motivated to create something that might just sit on a shelf and never be used by anyone. That makes sense? Like the story I wrote about them going to a new planet. No one's ever read that. That's literally been... Did people read that? Some people may have. But for the most part, I've never let that see the light of day. That's something that I'm really the only person who knows much of anything about it, because what if they hate it? What if they tell me I'm a bad writer? You know, what if... Because, like, if somebody read it and was like, wow, this is hot garbage, you are very bad at what you do, I might never write again. And then I would lose something that's really valuable to me just because I don't have the strength to be like, you're wrong, this is important to me. I don't know if any of that makes sense. Let's, didn't mean to drink whatever I just drank. Water. What did we just drink? I think we drank some dirty water, so that's not good. We're not sick, so that's nice. I didn't mean to ramble, internet. Sorry about that. It's been an hour and 40 minutes, so I'm going to take a smoke and pee break. And, hour and 40 minutes. I said I would try to play a little Warlord's Battle Cry. I don't know that I want to pivot, though. I think we'll just come back and do more Cataclysm stuff. But I am going to take a break here. I'll be back in like 5 minutes or so. So thanks everyone who has come out. Hopefully you're enjoying things. Hopefully I didn't ramble too bad. Hopefully that's not something off-putting to the average person. But I'll be back in a moment. So thanks, and see you shortly. Okay. Sorry about that. A long break this time. Hippie hippie happy hippie hop. No. Happy hippie hippo. If the comments come with advice, there's no problem saying it's no good because you learn how to make it better. So herein lies the problem. I'm just going to leave the overlay up for a bit because when I start talking about writing, it really screws up my content because I just ramble about it for lengthy periods of time. But the problem with letting people read my stuff, let me fix my microphone. Sorry about the noise. The problem with reading, let's do the game. We shouldn't just talk and do nothing. The problem with letting people read my things is not that they give advice that then helps me to change. The problem is that people generally don't read what you give them. And when they do read what you give them, they don't give you actual insight. They just tell you things like, "Oh yeah, I liked it. Yeah, it was okay." You know, or like I had girlfriends that they knew writing was so important to me, and I would say, "Hey, can you read this? I really, want some input on this. Can you help me out?" And they would be like, "Oh, of course." And then they would, not get back to me. And I would say, "Oh, hey, did you read that thing?" And I'll be like, "Oh, yeah." And I'll say, "Okay, well, what did you think?" And they'll say, it was good." And I'd be like, "Okay. I mean, what'd you like about it?" "Oh, like the whole thing was just good." It's like, okay, but like, who was your favorite character? Like, can you just give me something? Like, who's your favorite character? Who did you like? Who didn't you like? I liked the main guy. Oh, what was his name again? And they're like, "Oh, I don't know," because they didn't actually read the thing. So half the time when you get somebody to read your stuff, they don't even read it. Because, like, be honest, if you had a friend that walked up to you and was like, "Hey man, I wrote a story, can you read it?" Most people are going to be like, "Oh, I actually had other stuff to do today. I don't know that I'm going to have time. So, like, maybe, I'll keep it, but I don't know if I'm going to read it." So you never really get feedback from people. And then even when they give feedback, a lot of times it's not helpful feedback. It's like, "I liked it." "Well, okay, well, what did you like about it?" "I don't know. It was just good." "Okay, but like, did you like the character? Did you not like the character? Who did you like? Who didn't you like? What about this part? How did you feel about the reading? Did that sound like how people actually talk?" No one wants to give real feedback. They just want to say like, "Okay, yeah, man, I read it. It was fine." And honestly, when I do get people who read my stuff and give me real feedback, it's overwhelmingly positive. It's just, it's my self-confidence. I can't do it because I feel like it doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter if people tell me it's good. Everyone really who's ever read my stuff seriously has come back and been like, "It's really good." There was a time in my life I was surrounded by a lot of guys and I was writing and they all passed it around and would read everything I wrote, and they were like coming by and saying, "Hey man, where's the next chapter? Did you finish the next chapter? I really want to know what happens." Oh, sorry about that. Voice bit there. So it's always been like really positive. It's so hard for me to feel like anything I do is valuable. It's my fault. It's depression, it's self-esteem. What do you do about that? I don't know how to get a handle on that stuff. If I did, I'd be better off in basically every aspect of my life because I wouldn't be dealing with the depression anymore. Anyway, very common problem, murder. Some bad people criticizing me. I stopped DMing in D&D and can't do anything about myself. It is a tricky situation for sure when people put your stuff down. I don't know. I don't want to ramble about it. Let's read some books because it's dark. We're looking for electronics. What is electronic circuit theory any better for you than advanced electronics? Do they both have the same negative mood debuff? They do. Doesn't matter. Just read a book. Normally I raise electronics to put in a recharging station, but we can already do that, which is what we're probably going to do next in our vehicle. We're going to do some basic repairs on the vehicle, and yeah, we're going to be doing that. So we're very hungry, we're thirsty, feel that you need to eat more calorie dense food. Yeah, I've been doing that. We're still not malnourished per se, which is good. And yeah, we're just going to keep eating meat. think we're going to inevitably have to go hunting again, which is not great because it's not the easiest thing to do, find animals, but we'll hope for the best. Make some cooked meat. Oh, and it rotted in our inventory immediately. We ran into this problem yesterday, even though this is a freezer and they're frozen. As soon as we take meat out of the freezer, it's instant rotting. So again, all that meat we just got has gone bad for no reason. So that is cool. Take it out of the inventory. Yep, rotten as soon as we stepped away. So there goes all that meat we gathered again. So I don't know what that's about. I guess that's a bug as well, because that meat was very fresh and we froze it pretty much immediately, and the freezer has been running nonstop. There's no reason that meat should have gone rotten. What about the organ meat? Are you also rotted? You're not. Okay, so let's cook some organ meat. It's not nearly as calorie dense as the other food. Cooked, is it sweetbreads? Is that what I grabbed? Sweetbread. Go ahead and cook those and eat those. You breathe in smoke? Yeah, shouldn't do that. It's super bad for you. Cooked sweetbread, 164 calories. Really not a lot of calories at all. Let's go cook the remaining organ meat. Murder, there are plenty of websites where you can upload your work for people to read. It might be a good way to dip your toe in the water and get some broad feedback from strangers. If you have recommendations on websites that exist that do those things, I'm all ears. I've looked previously for this. I found, when I was a teenager, I was on DeviantArt, of course. We've talked about that. DeviantArt basically, people don't care about writers. They're only there to see anime drawings and photographs. They don't actually care. I was on DeviantArt for several years, and maybe over like 5 years had maybe 5,000 views. Very, very low. People just don't care about writers on DeviantArt. And then I looked historically for other places. There are a few websites where you can upload your work, but they are such a small community that people aren't really reading. Most of the people who go to those websites are people like me who want to upload their work and get feedback, but they don't actually want to go out and read other people's work. So I don't know of a good place. If you have any good recommendations, I'm all ears. And then there is an issue with publishing books on websites like that. So like I can't take my whole novel and throw it up on a website like that, because a lot of them, which they shouldn't have, but they do, they have set up certain copyright things. So once you post them online, the trying to publish them in real life can have some complications because you might not own all the rights anymore by posting on those websites. DeviantArt used to be like that, where if you posted literary work on DeviantArt, because they apply a form of copyright, it wouldn't prevent you from publishing, but it would make it more difficult because publishers would look at that and say, okay, well, we want all the rights. We don't want partial rights to a work. So I don't know. I don't know for sure. It's a little more complicated, you know, than it probably seems like. But yeah, that's one of those things with Patreon. Once I start, there's nothing left of the in-progress cooked liver to craft from. So we destroyed the liver. Great. Cooked the brains, I guess. I really hate when that happens, because you're basically just cooking something pretty basic. I don't see why. What were we cooking? I guess cooked liver. I guess you can ruin liver if you're not very good at cooking. I guess is a pretty tricky thing to cook. We eat the kidneys, and then we'll cook the oh, I just ate raw kidneys. Oops. I meant to eat the brains. We're unhappy. I'm unsurprised. -8 from eating brains. Too bad. You're going to be miserable, my friend. Let's drink something. My family is home. I didn't know they were gone until I went out here. And then they came home immediately. So yep, the dogs are barking. First thing they do when they come home is let the dogs out. And again, my niece is here, so I'm hoping that's not going to be too disruptive. Are we still out of the armor? No, we put it back on. So let's go to sleep with our armor off, because you should not sleep with your armor on. Sleep until morning. We'll go back to doing some vehicle work. I didn't mean to ramble about my writing. I apologize. It's one of those things that's like, it's something I'm really passionate about. I've been writing since I was like, I don't know, 11 or so. And so it's something that I have done for a long time. It's something I think I'm pretty good at. in my own mind, I think I'm pretty good at it. And once I start working on a story, it like dominates my mind. So it's something I like to talk about in depth. But it's also something where it's like I also try to be vague, because if you go into like super nitty gritty detail of like the story beats, people rip that kind of stuff off, which I don't think any of you would do, and I think it's pretty uncommon in general. But like some of the ideas I have are like pretty unique and haven't been done before, and I'm always a little hesitant to talk about them. Like a couple months ago, I started working on a story that was a zombie apocalypse story, and it's like, oh yeah, that's been done 100 times before, but my take on it was unlike anything that's out there. It was a story that had a complicated shifting narrative around a specific individual, and I don't think that that has ever been done before. So like when I came up with that idea, I was like, that's actually really good. I can't believe no one's done this. And then I was like, oh, I can't talk about this because that's exactly the kind of thing that like it's not really stealing. It's just people would take that idea probably and run with it. I'm paranoid. If you haven't noticed, that might not be sensible at all. It might be completely ridiculous. But I'm a paranoid dude who worries about that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Vegetable pizza. We use all of our flour, but it would have a decent amount of calories to it. Let's use. You can use pumpkin for pizza? God, it's gross. Only make one because of the flour. Use the pumpkin. Oh, I used tomatoes by accident. Whatever. Italian seasoning. Use the dirty water. Please don't screw up the... You screwed up the pizza. Please don't screw up again, because we don't have... Yep, we're out of materials now. Yep. So we can never, ever finish crafting this pizza. So I'm furious. Throw that in the fire. So tired of that happening. It's a pizza. Pizza's pretty complicated, I guess, making the dough. But how do you screw up putting a topping on pizza? We screwed up putting Italian seasoning on a pizza. That's how stupid our character is. So, no pizza. We just wasted a whole crap ton of calories. Let's, God, that tilts me. Just do more peanut butter and garbage, I guess. Eat up the cornbread we have. Don't eat the raw materials this time. Eat the actual food. Where is, there it is. 640 calories. I suppose we could start eating the food place food because they have so many calories in them. I completely forgot we had those options. So let's extinguish the fire. Go out and continue working on our vehicle. We should still have everything in our inventory that we need. Might as well throw the plate armor and things back on. That way we can have more inventory space for hauling stuff around. Let's fix this front quarter panel so we stop driving around in this janky looking vehicle. Quarter panel, straight across. Yep. Hooray! We have a decent looking vehicle again. Let's pull out the middle aisle there between the seats, and we'll put our charger in there. Pull out the aisle. Install the cargo space. Nope, that's a box. I bumped the button. So remove the box. Don't want the box. Install cargo space. And the charging station's up here. Let's pull this down to where we're kind of working. There's a fox there. Let's murder that for meat. Go ahead and yank out the Glock. I don't think... No, not the binoculars. The Glock. I don't think this will give very much meat, but I also don't think shooting it is going to ruin it. Oh, because they're so small, we actually can't even get a good aim on it. Never mind then. Waste of my fucking time. Let's put this away in the holster. Put this in the holster, please. Install the charger. I'm just irritable today, huh? Completely destroys it. The thing that angers me the most about crafting is that you cannot disassemble unfinished things for materials. It's just frozen in time forever. Yeah, the issue... So the reason it's like that, you used to be able to disassemble partial crafts, but people were using that to exploit materials. So like you would take a bunch of cooked meat, let's say, and you would make like 8 portions. And when it was inside the crafted item, it had no spoilage time, so it would never go bad. something just fell down my stairs. It would never go bad, so people were exploiting that to keep materials forever. So that's why they changed it so you can't disassemble it. It is extremely frustrating, but there's a good reason for it. I think you should go to bed, have a good sleep. Yes, good night. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. I think we'll be wrapping soon. They're just letting my dogs bark forever instead of bringing them in like normal human beings. And again, family's home, so they're a little bit house just got, yep, they're just yelling at each other, so that's cool. So we might actually call this here shortly. I really wanted to do some battle cry today. I don't think that's gonna happen. Maybe tomorrow we'll play a little Warlords battle cry. I don't know. I just took a break. They're so loud downstairs. We're still hungry. We weren't able to kill the fox. I guess we could go try to hunt something. We could go gather cattails for flour. We could go to the forest in hopes of finding animals. I don't really know what to do about this. I wish they would stop yelling. I think we're just gonna wrap and they're slamming doors and everything as well. I think we're gonna wrap. I know I just came back from break, but didn't expect the house to get so loud all of a sudden. So yeah, feel not great about that. Sorry, internet. I'll be back tomorrow with some other stuff on stream, hopefully, if everything goes well. And yeah, sorry to bring things to a close like that. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll see you next time. Can't hear a thing. Mike is pretty slick. I mean, I'm glad. You can't hear the door slamming and all that stuff? Well, I'm glad that you can't hear all that stuff, but it's also disruptive for me. So I think that I'm just gonna call it. But thanks for coming out, everybody. I see our numbers are not truly exceptional anyway. I mean, not that that matters too much, but I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully, if everything goes well. They seem to be taking my niece places during the day, so there is like a window of quiet time. It's just with her this week, I don't think I'm gonna have a lot of time for longer streams. I really wanted to stream for like 3 hours today. I wanted to hit Battle Cry. Anyway, let's not ramble about it. Look, thanks for coming out. Thanks, Slippery John, for the follow, and I'll see y'all in the future.